The MK.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, last week in Amaoti, a mother told me how she now only cooks food once every 3 days because paraffin has become so expensive. Her children eat pap the next day if there's anything left and it's cold. That is what fuel prices mean for real people. But while the poor suffer, Mr. Ramaphosa's so-called GNU is taxing fuel like it is water. Water too is becoming like the price of fuel today. South Africa now has the highest fuel levies in Africa. Why? Because this so-called GNU is broke, blind and bankrupt of ideas. And instead of cutting waste, it squeezes the poor even harder. Fuel hikes just don't affect the rich only. They affect everyone. Food costs more, taxis charge more, electricity goes up. This is a tax on life. And what makes it worse is this. South Africa makes its own fuel from coal using world-class technology called Sasol. Under apartheid, Sasol was state-owned, but just before democracy, it was sold off to private shareholders. Uhlumeni we-GNU uyayibulala imfuyo yabampofu. The MK party will not be silent. We are here to fight for economic justice, to fight for dignity.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Your time has expired. The ANC. The ANC.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Agricultural skills play a big role in terms of food security and economic empowerment. We are therefore impressed by a group of unemployed university undergraduates in Barberton, Mpumalanga, who have turned to farming through the provincial government Fortune 40 program. The Fortune 40 program is an initiative by the Mpumalanga Department of Agriculture to help graduates explore more new career paths beyond their fields of study. The 3 young graduates have shown a passion for continuing with farming. The Mpumalanga government gave them a 20-hectare piece of land to farm crops to uplift their communities with the hope of attracting more young people into farming, into the farming space. This project has benefited them with skills such as vegetable cultivation on top of the qualification in financial management and marketing. We are looking forward to seeing these young people grow into the space of commercial farming, creating employment and growing economically. The ANC is concerned about the lack of interest of the youth in the agricultural sector. As there are more opportunities, we urge young people in our country to venture into farming to ensure food security for the country. I thank you, Deputy Speaker.
The EFF.
Madam Speaker, last week we witnessed a very deeply concerning moment in South Africa's democratic journey. A government minister, while on official government duty abroad, funded and paid for by taxpayers' money, appeared to solicit the support of foreign powers to help them stay in government and keep other parties outside permanently. We refer specifically to Mr. John Steenhuisen's remarks at the White House, where he said the EFF and in particular the CIC must never be allowed to enter the union buildings. His words are tantamount to calling on an international Inkabi. He called an international Inkabi to eliminate political competition. It sounded as though Mr. Steenhuisen was putting out an assassination hit on the president of the EFF. It is worrying that the president sat silently and failed to denounce these dangerous remarks by John Steenhuisen. Given the U.S. history of interfering in sovereign nations, from election rigging, assassinations like that of Patrice Lumumba, Salvador Allende, Muammar Gaddafi, among many others, the comments of Mr. Steenhuisen must be condemned in the harshest terms. Thank you.
The IFP.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. The IFP recognizes
Order,
the
honourable
critical-
members. Order. Honourable members of the EFF. Honourable members of the EFF, we have another speaker on the floor, the IFP.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. The IFP recognizes the critical role that panel vans used as taxis play in sustaining livelihoods, particularly in rural areas where formal transport options are limited. These web vehicles provide much needed economic opportunities for small scale operators and ensure that communities remain connected. However, we cannot ignore the inherent dangers that they pose to passengers, drivers, and other road users. Panel vans are not designed for passenger transport, lacking essential safety features such as proper seats, safety belts, and secure entry and exit points. Passengers are often crammed into tight spaces, facing discomfort and, more worryingly, increased risk in the event of an accident. The IFP calls for urgent action to prioritize passenger safety in rural transport. We believe that the Department of Transport must work with affected stakeholders to find a sustainable alternative that protects both livelihoods and lives. As the IFP, we remain committed to a balanced approach that safeguards economic opportunities while ensuring that rural communities
Honourable
are
Member. Your
not forced
time has expired.
to close between their rights. Thank you.
The ANC.
On Saturday, the 17th of May 2025, the African National Congress and its progressive forces across the continent accompanied the two most distinguished revolutionaries, Advocate Philemon Duma Nokwe and Mama Vuyiswa Tiny Nokwe, to their final resting place following a dignified funeral service at Walter Sisulu Hall in Randburg and reburial at Westfield Park Cemetery in Johannesburg. Advocate Duma Nokwe, who was the Secretary General of the African National Congress between 1958 and 1969, passed away in exile in Lusaka in 1978 at the age of 50. His mortal remains were only repatriated to South Africa last year. He was reburied alongside his wife Vuyiswa, who passed away in 2008. Their story is one of the extraordinary devotion to the ideals of our movement. They lived humbly, served quietly, and left an indelible mark on the soul of our people. Advocate Duma Nokwe was the first African to be admitted to the Supreme Court of the Transvaal. He was the intellectual giant, an ANC Youth League leader who was then raised to be National Secretary and later the youngest Secretary General of the African National Congress in history. Mama Vuyiswa Tiny Nokwe, a fourth-year graduate and activist in her own right, walked every step of the journey beside him. The ANC calls for our government to continue its program of repatriating those who passed away in exile so that their families are assured of a closure. Thank you.
The EFF Plus.
Agbare Speaker, ek gaan vandag so 'n lidverklaring maak rondom die hele kwessie van volksmoord of genocide soos dit dan in Engels bekend is. Nou 'n storm is nie 'n ding wat eensklaps losbars en dan sink dit skepe en dit waai bome om nie. Daar is tekens wat mense wat weet hoe om te kyk kan sien hier's 'n storm op pad. Nou 'n volksmoord is dieselfde. En om daai rede is daar organisasies internasionaal soos Genocide Watch wat akademiese inligting gebruik rondom die opkoms van moontlike volksmoorde reg oor die wêreld. Daar's 10 stadia van volksmoord wat geïdentifiseer word waarvan slegs die 9de is uitwissing. Volgens hierdie organisasie Genocide Watch is Suid-Afrika by stadium 6 van volksmoord op blanke boere soos hulle dit stel. Nou as ons daarna kyk, kom ons vergeet van die Kiel de Boer liedjie. Kom ons vergeet daarvan of dit letterlik is of nie. Ek kan nie verseker die mense wat dood is letterlik dood. Maar kom ons kyk na die president wat dit nie teenspreek nie. Kom ons kyk na die president wat op een dag eksklusief en uitsluitend praat van our people, maar op 'n ander dag sê the land belongs to all who live in it. Wanneer glo mense hom En as Afrikaners nie sy mense is nie, wie sin is ons? As die storm opkom, dan wag jy nie tot hy op jou losbars voor die voorbereidings tref nie. Jy doen dit betyds. Die Vryheidsfront sal daarmee voortgaan. Baie dankie.
The DA.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. This past Friday, the Minister of Police released the fourth quarter crime statistics for 24-25 financial year. And although the data showed a modest decrease in the national murder rate, which should be cautiously welcomed, the rate of violent crime remains unacceptably high, with over 5,500 murders, 10,600 rapes, and 6,900 attempted murders, and nearly 44,000 assaults recorded in just 3 months. 62 murders per day. And in the Cape Flats, specifically with relation to gang violence, it was a weekend of bloodshed with almost 30 murders, for the weekend, 58 attempted murders and 84 gang-related incidents. We welcome the Minister's announcement for the 90-day GBVF blitz that has been reactivated and the reactivation of the Interministerial Committee on the same. It's critical data, according to SAPS, for us to now understand the progress made by the South African Police Service in combating these heinous crimes, and it goes a long way to building an understanding of what needs to be done to improve SAPS's approach to curbing crime. I must commend the work done by the capable municipal law enforcement by the City of Cape Town, where over 1,600 illegal firearms have been seized since 2021. And although it remains highly concerning that only 5%, yes, 5% of these cases actually resulted in convictions due to national SAPS retaining exclusive control over investigations, the city would have been able to do so much more had they been allowed to keep these gangs behind bars themselves.
Honourable Member, your time has expired.
We acknowledge the disproportionate
Honourable Member, your time has
as
expired.
highlighted by the Minister. Thank you.
The NCC. The NCC. We proceed. The ANC.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. The ANC commends the partnership between Knysna residents and the ANC-led council in solving the water challenges in Knysna. Some of the challenges, such as a contractor who did not deliver on pumps needed, have since been resolved, thanks to the above solid partnership. It is a shame that the DAMP, Honorable Ryan Smith, complained in this August House last week about the water crisis and claiming that the DA came to the rescue. DA councillors, by the way, refused to join the partnership and be part of the solution in Knysna, but complained that they were excluded in decision-making. Would like to thank the 602 residents who contributed to the Knysna Infrastructure Group, KIG, which is a fund of not less than 250,000 to facilitate the installation of the pumps as part of the solution. We would also like to acknowledge the mayor and the MM for their decisive management, and to everyone that ensured that the people of Knysna have water. For the DA to grandstand that they have saved Knysna is an insult to all those that have worked around the clock and ensure that a solution is found. As the ANC will call on the national government to support Knysna in terms of Section 154 to prevent weaponization of the intervention by DA.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Your time has expired. The MK.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, it is indeed a special privilege to address you today on the first anniversary. It was exactly on this day last year, 29 May 2024, where our votes were stolen. It is with a heavy heart. It is with a heavy heart that we remember 29 May 2024 as a day where the coup d'etat of democracy happened in South Africa. It was on this day where the people's voices were ruthlessly silenced by billionaires. Democracy was replaced by money. This day marks the birth of GNU and the death of hope and struggle of a Black child. We want to express our total solidarity with the millions of South Africans
who are still asking today, where is our vote? We stand as one with 2/3 of our youth having no hope, no future, no pathway to a career, no pathway to income, and living in desperation. Today we talk Starlink and its unlawful regulation 17.8 imposed on us by this GNU government to remove BBBE, to remove the pride a black child, to remove the pride a black man hope for ownership and control of the economy of this land. It is a stark reminder
Your
of
time has
apartheid
expired.
forced removals and
Member, your
displaced
time
of a
has
black people
expired.
from ownership and control
Honourable member,
of our
your
land.
time has expired. The EFF.
Where is our vote?
Honourable Reddy. Honourable Reddy. Honourable Member Murray, please proceed.
Since last, the Department of Labour closed the state mortuary in Mangaung due to non-compliance. As a result, families have been left traumatized, often waiting for more than 3 weeks to retrieve the remains of their loved ones. This delay adds unbearable emotions, distress to grieving families who are unable to make burial arrangements because they are at the mercy of an insufficient system. Staff members are now crammed into a single room due to the closure, are demoralized and overwhelmed with no clear plan in place to resolve the crisis. Local newspapers and radio stations have repeatedly reported on this issue. Despite these warnings, no permanent solutions has been implemented. I personally wrote to the minister requesting immediate intervention, but to date, no response. Everyone, including the MEC and the mayor, is aware of the crisis, yet action is only taken when political parties intervene, prompting the managers to send bodies to Welkom and Kroonstad to address the backlog temporarily. This is unsustainable. Our communities are suffering and families deserve dignity, closure, and swift support during the time of loss. Thank you.
The ANC.
Angibonge Deputy Somlomo. Deputy Somlomo lapha ngithunywa ngabahlali basethembisa abanezikhalo ngaphansi kamasipala wasekuruleni ukuthi abakwazi ukuthola izincwadi ezibagunyazayo ukuthi bangabanikazi bezindlu ezingama-4 room ethembisa ngoba lokho kubiza imali engango-25,000 ukuthola amagqwetha azobamela ebenzele lezi zincwadi. Ngakho-ke Deputy Speaker, uyazi nawe ulapha ukuthi abahlali basethembisa iningi labo alisebenzi baphila ngemali kaDehle no 350. Ngakho-ke kufanele ukuba banikezwe izincwadi ngokushesha mahala ngoba ngaphambilini lezi zindlu inani lazo lalibiza 250,000 manje abakwazi ukuthola imali engango-250,000 engango-25,000. uKhongolose uyazi futhi uyakuqonda ukuthi lezi zindlu zakhiwa ngaphambili kuka-1994 yingakho-ke inani lazo selikhule kangangokuba selifika ku-450,000 kuya ku-500,000. Ngenxa yalokhu-ke ubunikazi kubo kufana nokuthi kuphandle sebengangenelwa nje izigebengu ezinemali zibathathela imizi yokhokho nokhokhokazi babo asebadlula emhlabeni ngoba abanalo ilungelo lamaphepha abawaphethe esandleni ukuze nabo bakwazi ukuyokwenza isivumelwano nomasipala.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Your time has expired.
I thank you.
The DA.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. We have uncovered massive cost overruns in phase 2 of the Lesotho Highlands Water Project, which aims to increase water supply to approximately 17 million South Africans. While the project is complex, being a cross-border initiative with the Kingdom of Lesotho, we cannot neglect our duty as elected representatives to ensure taxpayer funds are used prudently. Originally budgeted at only 8 billion rand or 19 billion in today's terms, the project has ballooned to 53 billion rand, with 11 billion rand in overruns in just the past year. I wrote to Minister Majordina on the 7th of May 2025, but have received no response. In this House, I again call on the Minister and the Department to ensure that the Auditor General of South Africa is granted full audit access to the Lesotho Highlands project to determine how and why it is bleeding taxpayers. South Africans are traumatized by corruption and maladministration. As the 7th Parliament, it is our responsibility to restore public confidence in the state's ability to deliver. We must earn South Africans' trust, Madam Deputy Speaker, and it would be a shameful reflection on this House if billions were wasted while we stood by. The DA remains committed to ensuring Parliament is a robust institution that serves the public.
Your
We call
time
on
has
Minister
expired,
Majordina
Honourable
and the
Member.
Department to join us in this effort.
The
I thank you.
ANC.
A collaborative undertaking is set to improve the livelihoods of 200 farmers across 10 traditional authority areas in King Cetshwayo district. Richard Bay Minerals, RBM, has partnered with the Lima Rural Development Foundation for a 2-year program with investment supporting farming development. This will integrate farmers into profitable vegetable and poultry supply chain, strengthen their small businesses, and improve livelihoods. The ANC believes that this initiative aligns with government priorities around poverty reduction, is a program that empowers traditional farmers and strengthens rural livelihoods. This partnership reflects the shared commitment to inclusive growth and long-term community development. RBM invested 6.9 million rands towards this farmers support program, which offers comprehensive technical support, training, and access to essential resources and markets. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Al-Jamal.
Assalamu alaikum. We have continued raising concerns from one parliament to the next on crime, failing infrastructure, social economic challenges, and it has revealed to many in our country the condition that we are in. Al-Jamaa is concerned about the minimal effort towards holding relevant entities accountable, failure of investigation into recovery of wasteful, irregular expenditures and financial gains through corrupt means. The failure of accountability to the nation, more so the most deprived and economically challenged communities, is being repeated from one parliament to another. Our justice system and SAPS are dismally failing the victims of crime. Many cases are withdrawn and criminals are free to continue their crime spree in our communities, terrorizing innocent people. Crime is on an increase despite efforts to combat it. The DA-run Western Cape Province political games are at play where national is being blamed for SAP's lacks of resources and manpower. But when concerned communities march or have peaceful pickets against gangsterism, drugs, and in support of Palestine, the presence of police does not reflect what the DA claims. Sadly, we have further witnessed how SAPS is being used by certain elitist groups who support apartheid and the Zionist Israeli entity to brutally attack, victimize, and arrest peaceful picketers. Further, Honourable Speaker, when is the 9 members of Parliament going to be investigated and our questions be answered with regard to these particular members? Donald Trump has asked the Honourable President as to why Honourable Malema has not been arrested. Al-Jamaa is asking why have the members of Parliament who visit and claim no apartheid in Israel not being arrested and investigated? I thank you.
Bring it on as a debate.
Honourable members. That concludes member statements. Are there any ministerial responses? Honourable Michalakis.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, just on the last comment, I do believe that if an allegation is made that members of this House have committed a criminal offence, that a substantive motion has to be brought against them, and that a member can't make such allegations against members of this House. Thank you.
Thank you, Malatsi.
Honourable Reddy, I am still busy with that point of order. I will recognize you later. Honourable Sali, I am still busy with Honourable Michalakis' point. Honourable members, it is indeed so that if you do make any accusations of that kind of nature, which would reflect or imply a criminal activity, that you do bring a substantive motion to the House. So you may do that. Honourable Sali, I'm not going to go into an interaction with you. This is my ruling. And I first had Honourable Reddy.
Thank you, Honorable Acting Deputy Speaker. The rules say that at the point where you see the discretion, discrepancy being made, you raise the point then. Honorable Mikalakis has done this several times, where he raises points of order after the event. And if he claims to be an expert in the rules, he should know this. Please make sure that he knows this and stop abusing us and the rules in the House. Thank you.
The rules also make provision for the presiding officer's discretion. So I have dealt with the matter. Honourable Michalakis, I have ruled on the matter that a substantive motion is necessary. Please proceed.
Deputy
I will
Speaker,
come back to you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, is the member going to be asked to withdraw her statement as well, or is that not part of your ruling? Just for
That is not part of my ruling. I will also look at the Hansard and will also come back with that if it is necessary. Honourable Sali, Honourable Sali.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, more than a month ago, we have brought a request through to the Speaker with regard to this particular matter. There is an investigation and we're waiting more than a month for further report back in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. We will take that up with the Speaker as it was directed at her office. Honourable members, we now proceed. Are there any members of the Executive wishing to reply? Honourable Malatsi. Honourable Malatsi, please give me a moment. Let me just see who's all. That's the only minister in the House on the virtual platform. Let's just see.
John Steenhuisen must reply. John must reply. Why he said what he said there.
Order, honourable members. I have, and we can only take 7 minister. I have Honourable Malatsi in the House. I have Deputy Minister Mashlobo. Then I have Bushlela. I have Minister Steenhuisen, Deputy Minister Nel. Honourable Minister Malatsi.
Thanks very much, Deputy Speaker. In response to the member statement shared by Honorable Bodlani and I think also the member from the MK, I think it's important to acknowledge that what the gazetted regulation seeks to do is nothing away from the spirit of the existing provisions of the Act, particularly broad-based Black economic empowerment, which makes provision for the introduction of equity equivalence as an alternative to investment. This is not some invention by a villager from Limpopo called Malatsi. It is there in the rules, and I would want to refresh the member from the MK. The BBBE Act, the Amendment Act, was assented on the 28th of February 2024. And if everybody knows who the president of the country at that time is, you know that is the current leader of the founder of his own party. So he must refresh his own memory about the empowerment laws of this country. And 2014, I see Honorable, yes, 2014. And to the EFF, there was a member from the EFF who went on a tirade about some conspiracy of assassination. You don't need an assassination to see that the EFF is finished. The EFF is finished. And that is why...
You respond because you are not the one supposed to respond.
And
ask an international
Order, members.
Inkabi.
Order.
Enlisting an international Inkabi. An international Inkabi.
Honourable Minister, please wait. Honourable Minister, please pause. Honourable member from the EFF. Honourable member, please proceed with your point of order. What point are you rising on?
Honourable Deputy Speaker, the minister is out of order. He cannot come to this house instead of responding to the statements that the members put forward. Yeah, now he's talking about the finished EFF. Which criteria is he using to determine that EFF is finished? He can't do that. Respond to their member statements.
Honourable members, honourable member, honourable
point of
member,
order.
I have not recognised you. There is a point of order from your member on the floor, so you are now interrupting your member. So I am busy ruling. Honourable member, you cannot take a point of order whilst I'm busy ruling on another point of order. Please consult the rules, and could the chief whip of the EFF also assist with your members, please? Honourable Minister, there was a point that you made certain remarks about a party. Now, honourable members, in terms of the rules, and this was also dealt with in the courts, that if it is a reflection on an individual member, you need a substantive motion. If it refers to a party, it is not, in terms of the rules, not allowed. So you may cast any comments on a party. That is obviously the minister's opinion, and I would suggest that the honourable member take it up with the minister. Yes, honourable member, I will now allow you. What point are you rising on?
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I want to rise on a point of order, Honourable Speaker, because the Honourable Minister was not in Washington when John Steenhuisen was making these comments. He was not invited. And John Steenhuisen was speaking there not as a political leader of the TA, but as a minister of government.
Honourable member,
was not speaking
honourable
as
member,
a
I am
political
addressing
leader
you.
of the TA.
Honourable member, that is not relevant. That is not a point of order. That is a matter for debate. We will now proceed. Honourable Minister Malatsi, you have a minute left.
Thanks very much, Deputy Speaker. In the interest of progress, we would leave the status of the finished parties to their members to ventilate. But the important thing here is that we are dealing with make sure that the existing regulations in the telecommunications sector are standardized and speak to the spirit of the empowerment rules of this country. And those are covered in the BBBE Act of this country. What we are doing is to make sure that there is consistency across the board. The same rules apply to every player in the market. There is no conspiracy of an exemption for one particular company here. It is about an effort to seek that the rules consistently speak to the spirit of the Act around empowerment and the transformation goals of this country, which are non-negotiable, and there's no deviation from that. Thanks, House Chair.